In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about some face-meltingly good PlayStation 5 titles that you guys need to be looking out for and hyping up for 2021. I've picked out 4 really explosive titles that are at the top of my list, and then I'm going to talk about some honourable mentions. Actually, I'm going to do that first. Also, if you are interested, I have some new Super Nintendo games to show you later on in this episode, as well as a brand new PS5 game. Let's get into it. So it's very difficult to nail down, and this year we had a virtual E3 and lots of good things were shown. Unfortunately, my honourable mentions are going to be things like, I'll just list them off, and my 3 things: Gran Turismo 7, Far Cry 6, and the new Hogwarts RPG. And the reason I've kind of listed them off in my honourable mentions, I don't know a massive amount about driving games. I just think it looks really, really nice. And I've read that Gran Turismo 7 is actually running in 8K whilst it's in development. So that actually piqued my interest enough for me to I'm going to buy it. I will buy Gran Turismo 7. And I'll just get my brother to explain all the technical car bits. Far Cry 6. Far Cry for me has been a little bit cookie cutter over the past couple of games, so fingers crossed Far Cry 6 will kind of break the mold a little bit. I don't necessarily know how I want that mold to be broken, but I do enjoy Far Cry games. I just wish they offered a little bit more. Again, that's why it's in my honourable mentions. And Hogwarts, obviously from the Harry Potter universe, big fan. Don't know, we haven't seen much gameplay, we haven't really seen much other than the kind of cinematic trailers. So I think if I was to put them in my main list, I wouldn't be doing you a service and I wouldn't be doing myself a service. So I'm excited for those, but the 4 games that I've mentioned, we know a lot more about and we've seen some gameplay. So I'm going to dive into them now. And I want you to watch the whole thing because I'm looking forward to reading your comments on this one, guys, as well. Tokyo Ghostwire. Now, this is a game that I never thought I'd actually want to play, but I've watched the gameplay that's out there, and for me, it blends some beautiful styles, like from, say, the Matrix and that supernatural kind of elements, and the kind of powers that you have, very kind of Matrix-esque, lots of weird code kind of fall in and pixels pop in, again, as if you're in some kind of computer world. Mix that in with a little bit of Yakuza, set against the beautiful backdrop of Tokyo, of course. I mean, what's not to like in its foundation? So when I kind of like, I'm going to take a look at this, and then we dived into some gameplay, and it's first person supernatural action, and I think it looks remarkable. I don't think there's a lot of those kinds of games out. I mean, the game that I felt it most close to was maybe Control with the supernatural element, but this definitely has its own little ecosystem and its own skin to warrant my interest to be like, it is up there for 2021. Now, obviously, there was a lot of kind of ruckus about whether or not Ghostwire would be on the PlayStation because it's published by Bethesda and Tango, created by Tango Softworks, obviously now owned by Microsoft. But it has been confirmed that Tokyo Ghostwire will be coming to the PlayStation 5 in 2021. So I think there's a lot to look forward to. We need to get this whole of a year out of the way, and we now need to look forward to what beautiful games we've got coming. So Tokyo Ghostwire, is it a game that you're looking forward to? Maybe it is, maybe you've never even heard of it. I personally don't think we hear enough about it. So let's keep it in the forefront. Tokyo Ghostwire, I'm ready. Now, this next game has, in my opinion, been forgotten, but it is coming out in 2021, having been cancelled back in spring of this year. That game is Dying Light 2. Dying Light 2. Ask yourself this. When was the last time you heard a YouTuber or read an article about Dying Light 2? I asked myself that, And the answer I gave was, wow, it's been a long time since anybody's mentioned this game. So upon doing my research for this video, I dived back into the E3 2019 trailer and just realised how much I'm ready for this game. The setting reminds me of I Am Legend. Great film with Will Smith, post-apocalyptic New York City. Similar kind of situation, post-apocalyptic, set way after the events of the original Dying Light. Lots of undead enemies, human enemies. It seems to me like there's more kind of human vengeance in this story going forward. Supplies are very, very low. I think water is obviously the main utility that is depleting, and we basically need to kind of keep providing these humanitarian strands by kicking ass in this amazing post-apocalyptic undead world. It looks beautiful, and I've made absolutely no secret in that I love zombie movies, I love zombie books, and I love zombie video games. Just mention the word zombie to me and I am sold. Now, backtracking, we've got the lovely elements of parkour, which I think are perfect for a zombie post-apocalyptic game. Add in that parkour and it's just the gift that keeps on giving. So Dying Light worked really well for me. And I think Dying Light 2 is going to be one of those games for 2021 that is going to be underrated, underappreciated, understreamed. And I say streamed because I'm a streamer. I stream here as well. So I'm going to show it a lot of love. Dying Light 2, we need it, we want it, we're ready for it. And I think it will shine on the PlayStation 5's hardware, and of course it's coming out on the Xbox Series X as well. So if you've not got a PS5, you can also enjoy it on your Series S and or your Series X. So Dying Light 2, come at me, brah. Aloy is back in Horizon Forbidden West. I wasn't a huge fan of the original Horizon Zero Dawn, so you're probably saying, why are you even bothered? You're just mentioning this because it's a AAA title. There was a quote in the trailer that I thought was really remarkable, and I've written it down. The quote is, from Aloy, "There's no depths I won't explore." So if you just think about that in a video game, that for me opens up so many different possibilities. And I think that quote was said when she was underwater. So maybe there's a lot more to kind of come on the verticality of the game. So we got underwater, ground level, and kind of, venturing up into the mountains. It's looking really, really good. And I think the character of Aloy is incredibly solid. Cat hair in my mouth, amazing, is incredibly solid, and it's going to be fantastic. It is a PS5 exclusive, unlike Dying Light 2. And I don't really know what else to say other than it looks great. And open world RPG, ultimately, I love open world RPG games. I like having the choice and the ability and the freedom to do what I want to do in a video game, because that's what it's about. It's ultimate escapism. And I think for me, that's a key selling point for me watching the trailers and the gameplay of Horizon Forbidden West. If you know me as a streamer, you may know me having completed Resident Evil 7 on every single difficulty setting. So, Resident Evil 8, or rather Resident Evil The Village, it's up there. Let's face it, it is darn up there for 2021. Now, we reprise the role of Ethan, so the same protagonist from 7. I think that for me is lush, that they've not just introduced a new character, they've kind of carried his story forward into this new horror experience and into this what looks like a new horror backdrop, because I think 8 looks very different to 7. It looks and feels to me more like the kind of gothic Resident Evil 4 farmland Bloodborne-esque backdrop. So I think it's going to be interesting to see and feel Ethan in that different environment, in that different kind of horror world. It's Resident Evil. So I, like thousands of you, grew up with Resident Evil from the PlayStation 1 and the Sega Saturn. So it's kind of like a no-brainer in a way. I'm not overly struck on the kind of setting. I would have preferred maybe like abandoned hospitals and mansions similar to that of what we had in 7. But I'm oh wow. I mean, if this is going to be horror done beautifully. Horror done beautifully. Let's just forget about Resident Evil 6 and half of Resident Evil 5. Resident Evil has been a very consistent horror series for me. And I'm ready, baby. I'm ready to see what Ethan's got up his sleeve. I'm ready to see it all in its glory, plastered in 4K 60 frames per second on the PS5. Give it to me now, baby. So which games are you looking forward to? In 2021, whether you're an Xbox player, it doesn't matter on what platform, smash a comment below and let me know. Now we're going to dive into some games. We have a PS5 game, which I'm kind of going to explain, and some really cool new Super Nintendo games that I picked up from my local retro game store, Kirkby Sales and Exchange. I say PS5, it's actually a PS4 game. Now, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I have struggled to find the PS5 variant of this, but because it's a free upgrade, I kind of figured if I might as well just buy it for like £50 on the PS4 rather than 65 on the PS5 when it's a free upgrade anyway. And if I did want to play this on my PlayStation 4, I can. I've deliberately held off on this. I've heard lots of bad reviews, especially from, if you go and watch Skill Up's review, he takes his time and talks through the monotony of this game and how his 60+ hours weren't worth the reward that the game was offering. But then on the flip side, I've kind of sat back, and since that review, up until now, I've heard a lot of players becoming incredibly immersed in this world, and I wanted to be one of those players, and I wanted to be on Valhalla on my PS5. So after I film this video, this is going straight in my PS5, and I'm going to be trying it myself. Let me know some of you if you've played this. I really want to know how you guys found it. I like the whole Viking setting anyway, and I have seen comparisons between what it looks like on the PS4 Pro versus the 5. Obviously the 5 looks way better, so for me this needed to be a game that I go through on my 5 before I even think about it on the 4. So now down to the juicy retro game part of this episode. I have 4 new Super Nintendo games, 3 unboxed, 1 boxed. The first one, we have some classic Empire Strikes Back, some Super Star Wars. I have, oh, I can't see it, there's just Super Star Wars up there. I don't have Empire Strikes Back, and this is for me one of the, out of the Super Nintendo Star Wars games, this is the definite lesser played title. So I picked that bad boy up. Typically, I don't go for unboxed games, but you know when there's kind of like no choice and you really want a game? Get in there, baby, that's mine, that's mine. Next up then is another Super Nintendo title I've been looking for quite some time, settling on an unboxed, RoboCop 3. Not the best Super Nintendo game by any stretch of the imagination, but I kind of figured like, I'm going to have a Super Nintendo marathon soon, and as you guys know, you've watched my show, you understand that my Super Nintendo is my prized possession. I've got a huge collection. I'm very devoted to the console, and shout out to you, Reese, because I know you have just found your Super Nintendo in your attic and you want some recommendations, so maybe there's a little bit of something you can get some value from in this video. Next up then, this title surprised me. Never played it, but I've looked into it. Looks like a kind of side-scrolling, kind of Contra-esque, Shinobi-esque mashup. It is Excalibur 2097. Of course, unboxed as you guys can see, but if you were to get this on a boxed copy, you can go for a pretty penny. So because of its kind of obscurity, I wanted to give it a try, and I snagged it. And I'll be setting my Super Nintendo up here with the Rad 2X over in the retro corner here this week, ready to dive into that. Now, boxed we have UN Squadron. Admittedly, I'm not a huge kind of shoot 'em up kind of girl, but the collector in me is fully aware that UN Squadron is quite difficult to get boxed. So that is why I picked it up. I may have an unboxed copy floating around. If I do, I'll be vlogging it, but I'll let you guys know over my Facebook, so keep an eye on that. But yeah, UN Squadron, this should, I don't even know if this has manual, you know. Why have I not checked? Maybe I was deliberately saving myself, it does, for the video. So we have manual right here, and the cartridge and even the inlay look in pretty nice condition. That looks, you know, a little bit more kind of yellowing on the back than the front. The sticker's slightly damaged, but that looks like something on it that you could probably get off. Not too bad, really stoked with that. So yes, nice to finish off with some Super Nintendo goodness. Please, again, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you want to become a channel sponsor, make sure you hit the join button or the second link in the description, and it'll give you all your different tiers to be what you need to do to become a channel member as well as subscriber. So without further ado, I'm gonna leave it there. Have a beautiful day. My name is Gemma, and I'll catch you in Thursday's episode. See you soon.